Good morning, children. Welcome back to the online class of Sri Kogulam Public School, Vattagara.
Dear children, good morning. Today's thought: the best way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing. Dear students, do your work on time. Okay? Then, did you remember where did we stop the previous class? Previous class, we completed the politics lesson secularism. Today, I am going to start a new lesson from history. Okay? Then, did you remember that? The previous lesson ruling the countryside and the tribals, Bhikkhus and the vision of golden age. In these two lessons, we discussed the policies followed by the British government. And today's lesson, the revolt of 1857. That is when people rebel in 1857 and after. Already in the previous lessons we discussed due to the strict policies followed by the British government. The Indians they turned against the British East India Company. Do you remember what were the policies? They introduced the doctrine of lapse, subsidiary alliance, the policy of paramountcy, then different type of the land revenue system like Raitwari system, Mahalwari system. All this created certain troubles to the Indians. So the Indians they organized the revolt against the British in 1857. That was known as the First War of Indian Independence or the Sipahi Mutiny. And it was on 10th May 1857. And it was first of all started in Meerut. Today, we can discuss what were the causes of the revolt of 1857 or the First War of Indian Independence. Then that we can classify as political, then economic, social and religious causes and immediate cause. The East India companies, they introduced the strict and rigid policies that affected the different people in a different way. Listen, that affected from rulers to the common people. The people, they started to resist against the policies and actions that were harm to them. They faced lot of troubles under the East India Company. So they turned against this East India Company and the authority. Now, please see these points. Then, since the mid-18th century, the Nawabs, Indian Nawabs and Rajas, they have reduced the power. Do you remember the Battle of Plassey in 1757 and the Battle of Buxar in 1764? After that, the East India Company, they started to establish their power in India. This caused for reducing the power of Indian Nawabs and rulers. Listen, and due to the appointment of the residents in many courts, the freedom of the rulers reduced. The East India Company appointed the residents in many courts. So what happened there? The rulers' freedom or the rights reduced, and the armed forces that was disbanded, and revenues and territories were taken away by the East India Company. The armed forces were disbanded and the revenues and the territories were taken away by the East India Company. Like this, difficulties faced by the rulers and Nawabs. Another political cause. I think all of you remember the doctrine of lapse. Who introduced that? Okay, very good. Lord Dalhousie, he introduced the doctrine of lapse. As per the doctrine of lapse, the adopted son not allowing to be as the next ruler after the death of the father. Clear? Example, Rani Lishmi Bai. She requested the East India Company to make her adopted son as the next ruler after her husband's death. But that was not accepted. Instead of that, Jhansi that was annexed to the East India Company's territories. Another example, that is the Nana Sahib. Do you know who was the Nana Sahib? He was the adopted son of Peshwa Bajirao II. And he requested the East India Company to give the pension that was given to his father. After his father's death, he requested to give that pension to him. But that was also not accepted by the East India Company. And in 1801, another policy. Did you remember that subsidiary alliance? As per that, the Awadh was also annexed to East India Company. Clear? Then in 1801, Awadh was annexed as per the subsidiary alliance. In 1856, it was taken over by Lord Dalhousie in the name of ensuring the proper administration. He accused that they were not introducing the good administration in these areas, and in the name of that, more territories were taken by the East India Company. Next, then another political issue. The Mughal emperors, their power had completely lost. Then the Mughal king name was removed from the coins minted by the East India Company. Listen, the Mughal king's name that was removed from the coins minted by the East India Company. And in 1849, Lord Dalhousie, he announced that the family of the Mughal king would be shifted from their official residence, Red Fort, to another place in Delhi. That was after the death of the last Mughal emperor Bahadur Shah Zafar. After his death, did not allow the Mughal rulers or the Mughals family to reside in the Red Fort. Then in 1856, Lord Canning, he decided that Bahadur Shah Zafar would be the last Mughal king. After his death, did not recognize anyone as the king. Instead of that, they were just considered as the princes. Please see the main points related to the political course. Okay, the first rulers lost their authority and honor, then their armed forces were disbanded and revenues and territories were taken away, and they introduced the doctrine of lands, subsidiary alliance, and Mughal king's name that was removed from the coins. Clear? And did not recognize anyone as the Mughal king after the death of the last Mughal ruler Bahadur Shah Zafar. I hope all of you understood. Okay. Then next, that is economic cause. The peasants and zamindars, they turned against the East India Company because of the high tax and the rigid methods of the tax collection that we discussed in the earlier lesson, ruling the countryside. Listen, they followed the strict method of collecting the taxes. So the peasants and the zamindars, they turned against the East India Company. The peasants, they lost their lands and they were cultivated for generations. These lands, they were cultivated for generations that they had lost. And many peasants, they failed to pay back their loans to the money lenders. Listen, did you remember the East India Company appointed the Gomastas to give loans to the peasants, and the peasants, they accepted the loans from the Gomastas as well as from the money lenders, but they failed to pay back the loans. Because of that, they had lost their what? They had lost the ancestors' lands. Now see the main points. Economic cause, then resented the high tax, rigid methods of the revenue collection, and the peasants, they lost their ancestral lands. Next, the third cause of this revolt, that is the military cause. Military cause, the soldiers, they were also unhappy under the East India Company because they didn't get the good payment, and then they didn't get the good allowance as well as their working condition. It was very pathetic. Listen, so they also turned against the East India Company, and the new rulers, they violated their religious faith. The new rulers of the East India Company, they violated the religious faith of whom? Then the soldiers. Clear? Then in 1824, the Shipais, they were told to go to Burma by the sea route to fight for the East India Company. Crossing the sea, that was against the faith of the Indians. Listen, so they didn't like to cross the seas and go to Burma, but they were forced to do that. When they refused to follow this order, they were severely punished, and as per the law passed in 1856, every new soldier, they had to agree to serve overseas if required. In 1856, they passed a new law. As per that, the soldiers, they wanted to sign that they were ready to go to the overseas to fight for the East India Company. Listen, or the British government. And the Shipais, they were inspired by the peasants also. Then most of the Shipais or soldiers, they were whom? They were the peasants. So then they realized the troubles facing by the peasant. So they supported the peasant and joined the revolt. See the main points. Military course, discontent among the soldiers, unhappy about their pay and allowances and the poor working conditions, then forced to cross the sea and violated their religious beliefs. Another course, that is social and religious course. Listen, you know, in our society, many evil practices existed. Listen, then one of the greatest Indian leader or reformer, Rajaram Mohan Roy, he turned against the evil practices existed in the society like sati, and he encouraged the widow remarriage, and he worked for English education. But here, to reform the Indian society, the British government, they passed many new laws. Listen, they passed it to stop the evil practice of sati, or they banned the sati. What is sati? What is meant by that evil practice sati? After the death of the husband, listen, the wife forced it to die along with the husband. Listen, they also burnt along with the husband. The Rajaram Mohan Roy, he forced to ban this evil practice. Later, in 1829, the Governor General, Lord William Bentinck, he abolished this evil practice, sati. Listen, and then encouraged the widow remarriages. But Indians, they felt the British government, they were discouraging the practices of the Indians. So they turned against the British government. Another reason, English education that was actively promoted, that also by William Bentinck. Listen, Lord Governor General William Bentinck, he encouraged the English education. And after 1830, the Christian missionaries, they were allowed to function freely and on land and property. Listen, the Christian missionaries were allowed to function freely and to own the land and property. And in 1850, the British government, they passed the new laws. As per that, then they allowed the people to convert into Christianity without any trouble, easy for them to convert into the Christianity. And these converted Christians, they got the right to the property of his ancestors. Earlier it was not there. But here, as per the new law, these converted Christians, they got the right to the property of the ancestors. Clear? And many Indians, they began to feel that they were losing their religion, social customs and traditional way of life. So they turned against this British government and joined this revolt. Now, please see the main points. Social and religious cause. The British government banned the evil practice of sati, encouraged the widow remarriage, promoted the English education, allowed the Christian missionaries to function freely, conversion of the Christianity to become so easy, right to get the property of their ancestors. Clear? Next, the last cause, that is the immediate cause of the revolt of 1857. On 29th March 1857, some Shipais, they refused to do the army drilling by using the new cartridges. Listen, 29th March 1857, the soldiers, they were forced, or the Shipais, they were forced to use the new type of the cartridges. And these cartridges were coated with the fat of cows and pigs. that was against the religious faith of the Hindus and Muslims. Listen, they wanted to buy these cartridges and to open that. Okay, so they didn't like to do that, and because of this 85 Shipais they were dismissed from service, and then everywhere the violence occurred. Clear? When the soldiers refused to use these cartridges, then they turned against the East India Company, or the British government turned against the Shipais, and they were forced to do that, but they were not ready to do. Okay, and then this caused for the revolt, and then 10th May 1857 it was started at Meerut. Clear? Then please see the immediate cause. The Shipais were dismissed from the service. Listen, when they refused to use this new type of the cartridges, and they were sentenced to 10 years imprisonment in jail. Clear? I hope all of you understood what were the political, economic, social and religious and the immediate cause of the revolt of 1857. Okay, all of you have to refer the textbook, read the textbook thoroughly and go through this video class and prepare the notes. The questions I will send along with this video. Okay, thank you.